And we're live. Me alone. אבל כבר יש attendee אחד. Who's the other attendee? Yeah, Elinor, you're amazing. באר שבע, respect. Okay, Jeremy. Jeremy, can you raise your hand? I want to get to people to know. So this is a fun session. This is a session about just talking about the great tools that there are there. I'm going to also add an amazing list from Community Club about all the tools that almost exist, and we're going to have a discussion about it. So I'm going to let people join, and I'm going to put it here in the feed. Okay, we're growing. Ami Deli from San Antonio. Wow, man, so many cool people from different places. So we have from San Antonio, the UK, Jerusalem, Rishon LeZion, Beersheba, Yated, Tel Aviv. Who else is coming? We have so many people here. So I'm going to put here in the feed. Hey, Jeremy. Let's do a thing. First of all, here what I promised, the list of all the community tools existing that we know about. Mac, that's going to speak here tomorrow, the founder of Commissor, created this cool group called community.club, and they have a list of all the cool tools you can have. And just go there and check out what can happen. And all the tools that you can ever would like to have in community, you can find there. Here, raising your hand, Roy, why did you take your hand off? So I'm going to put here people on the stage. Yeah, I know, Dana. And let's just get to meet you guys. Roy, Jeremy, Dana, just raise your hand and let's hear what's your super tool. I'm inviting everybody to join us from the lounge. Okay, join. Great. Hey, thanks, Shai. Great. Sorry, I wanted to say thanks for the link. So my pleasure. So if you want to say thanks, just get online and say thanks. Raise your hand and say thank you face to face if you dare. Great. I love JLM, by the way. Steve Roy works at JLM.
Sorry, my camera is...
No worries. You're working for a nonprofit. It doesn't have... is it JLM Spark is a nonprofit or a for-profit?
It's an innovation center that is being founded now by the municipality of Jerusalem.
So it's kind of a nonprofit.
It's a nonprofit, yeah.
Cool. So wait, what's your super tool? What's the tools you love to use?
Well, I'm using Airtable most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
It helps me run my my missions, my tasks, my partnerships, all the meetings and everything. Help me document everything. So that's the basic tool that I use.
Why do you like Airtable? Give us an example. How do you use Airtable?
Every meeting that I finish, I immediately document on Airtable. I upload the PDF with all the list of the stuff that I went through in the meeting. A
PDF? You summarize the meeting, take and download as PDF and upload to Airtable?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And in addition to that, there's an option to do a frequency. So every time that I meet someone, I can type in the last catch-up that I had with them, and then I can do the frequency, and I'll get a notification as soon as I wanted to meet them again. So it's very useful, very efficient.
And what about usually Airtable is not for mission control. I know that Airtable is a good database that you also use for sending forms? Do you use the form feature and stuff like that to collect data?
No, but aside of using it for documenting the meetings, I also use it as a project manager. So let's say that I'm working on a gala or a big event or something that I'm trying to run. You list yourself all the tasks, and you can link them to different, let's say, connections or different people, so it's easy to use. And yeah, it's kind of it. I've been using it for the last 2 months, so I'm kind of new, a beginner.
So and you have a community also, or you just run the partnerships?
So not yet. So JLM Spark is an innovation center that is being founded now. We haven't started yet. It's like even the building itself is still under construction. So right now we're building the whole concept and hoping to build a community. That's why I signed up to this summit, so I can gain as much information as I can.
Cool. So we're gonna have other community managers here. We have Jeremy. Jeremy, when you're ready. Hey, Michael. Michael, we correspond so many times. If you want to raise your hand, we're going to put you on stage instead of Roy, who introduced stuff and talked about his super tool. And Michael is a social media pilot, which is interesting. What's that, and what tool does he fly? So, Michael, you just have a hand underneath my window. You just raise your hand. Great. So you're from
right now
Delray Beach in the USA.
Right.
Michael, can you put on your video camera? You just press the mic.
Oh, I see. Okay, now I should be. Okay, here we are. Okay, let me just get rid of a little bit of the contrast behind me. Okay. Hi. I'm just going to move you over to that other monitor so I can at least appear to be looking at you. Hello.
Hey, Michael. Finally, we meet. I see you on social media for so many years. First time I think we interact face to face.
We met in Beersheba once at the WeWork.
At the WeWork. So it wasn't 2016. It was a while ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
And
Probably a couple years before that.
In what context was it?
I was at the time doing a little bit of IP work. Patent work, and I was thinking about moving to a firm in Beersheba, or just working as a freelancer and renting some office space at WeWork.
Now I remember. And now you're back in the US?
For now, yeah. But I hope to be back in Israel probably sometime in February or March.
Okay, cool. And what's your super tool as a social media pilot?
Oh, actually, I don't know if I use a super tool, but I use a combination of LinkedIn and I guess the regular ones, just the Facebook and Twitter, even Twitter. I mean, I know Twitter isn't the best thing for building community, but there are ways of using it for that.
I agree, and I want to say that sometimes before you build a community, you want to build a following, and sometimes when you have a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And even though I'm a community builder, I think I'm first of all a strategist. I'm a person that like to think strategy. And you don't like when you play chess. I love chess, and you can't use all the tools to do different things. You have to think what's the right thing and what you're doing for the right thing. So I think the best community leaders most of the times are influencers, or people that people listen to, and they have already some kind of a status or reputation on a subject, and then it's easy for them to cultivate it. In our organization we built, I don't know if you joined in the morning because it was midnight in your time, I gave a talk about our methodology, which is called the community puzzle. And the first part is like clearing the purpose of the community, which is many times, if it's clear enough and interesting enough, you see many people join, even though if you're not a thought leader on the subject. Just look up on it on social media or on Google and look for answers. But that's the thing. If it's not on a social media and it's in Google, you have to be strong enough with the SEO to be found around that subject. And the second part of that is what we call the core members. when I started really investigating communities, I understood that all the best communities, it doesn't matter if it started from an influencer or somebody that had a very strong core group. We called founding members or core members or raving fans or mostly power members. And that's when you cultivate the first 2, 3, 4, even 30 people in your circle. And when we research academically communities, we see that all network communities, all the online communities have what you call an internet culture. It's a known
phenomenon?
Definition. Yeah, the phenomenon and definition.
Yeah.
You just Google it. It's called internet culture. And you see you have 1% that are interactive, that are not interactive, that are creators that create content, 9% that are interactive with the content, and 90% readers, lurkers, and stuff like that. And in order to build a big community, what we come to the companies that we help for is say, listen, you need to take the 1% and make it 100%. You need to start and have the core creators being everyone. And while you grow, then what will happen? Yeah, you'll have people that, as you grow, it will be 90% of the people that won't be engaged or will be just lurkers or readers. But you have to start with a very strong core. And that's if you don't have influencers in the beginning, or you don't have somebody that can create an amazing following and bring the first members, that's great. More so, we found that groups that grew up really quickly because an influencer said, hey, come here. It's like marketing. Quick campaign, then nothing.
Right.
And that's the problem. We have a group in Israel called the Shulmanim. That's like a group that's all about, social change and stuff like that. Over 200,000 people. They got to 150,000 people in 1 month. But then, because it's so big and it was so vague but so attracting, inside the cracks started to build up. So I totally love what you're saying. You have to build a following, and it's really helpful. On Twitter, on LinkedIn, I think great places. LinkedIn is, by the way, did you notice what's happening on LinkedIn the last year?
Well, I've been on it. I don't know what you mean in terms of its growth?
No, in terms of it did in the last year. LinkedIn pivoted totally.
Yeah.
LinkedIn became Facebook. And Facebook, by the way, started imitating. After Facebook got tired of being imitated by LinkedIn in the last year, they started imitating things of LinkedIn. If you notice now in the Messenger and chat, you suddenly have automized answers that you can answer that LinkedIn has to have, because LinkedIn is for executives. Executives don't have time, and you had automated answers.
Yeah.
Suddenly you had it also on Facebook. But they were the original one who started imitating. They started having different kinds of likes, and they started having replies, and started having all kinds of things, and investing more in groups and cultivating community in the pages. And they have a lot of stuff started imitating all in the last year.
You know what's interesting? It's interesting that a lot of, like you just pointed out, a lot of these platforms are morphing. I mean, the only one that I think really hasn't morphed so much is Twitter, in a way. I mean, Twitter seems to be pretty constant in what it does. I mean, I think its genius was its limitation. But one of the things that I, as you describe this, really fascinates me is how these platforms or how these communities manage expectations. Because when you can, what you're talking about, when like corporations and when communities get so large, they get too large and they collapse under their own weight. And a lot of that is because of expectations, and you become everything to everybody, and suddenly you're just spread too thin. I'm just wondering, is there? I mean, in companies, maybe it's less of an issue because things have very clear purposes in corporate entities. But on general social media platforms, things go around. I mean, right now, I'm looking at what's going on in the United States. It's impossible to not to be affected by the feedback, and right now by it's what happens after a nuclear bomb, the fallout of the presidential election, which still hasn't been settled, and so now there's an issue of a question of how different communities are basically feeling that they either do belong or don't belong on any particular platform. And so some of them are trying to establish new entities on different platforms because of the perception of what the platform provides or doesn't provide for them.
And so besides the Twitter and LinkedIn, is there any place you cultivate communities today, or do you have any of your own communities?
I don't have. I mean, I am trying. I do have I've been working on a project, on a governance project, and I have not really succeeded yet. I haven't put that much time into it, but I haven't really succeeded in in building a community. It's something I'd really like to get some insights, some really powerful insights into doing.
So, by the way, we're opening a new community that's going to be global. We have the Israeli one called, if you speak Hebrew, you can join it, YCP, Young Community Professionals. And we're starting a new brand that's going to be global. We're going to send people that were part of the event to join, called Community Pros. We have our own mission statement that's about being not just a community professional, but also being proactive and positive and all around positivity. And we believe that's the most community leaders that really succeed. We can have also in-depth talk about bad communities. There's a whole world of that. Ku Klux Klan and stuff like that, cults. But in general, I think most communities do good in the world. And also, there's a whole perception that we talk about, which is the difference between building a bridge and building a fence, or building a wall. And many communities sometimes act as walls, and that's what I think the difference. And the social networks are exactly what build, like Facebook and others that have the group factor, is what creates bridges. And why I say bridges, in the beginning, I had an issue with myself. Maybe I'm doing something bad. I heard about extreme right-wing communities and stuff like that. Maybe I'm also helping cultivate hatred and walls. But then, I'm sorry, I'm taking it to my Jewish history and answering inside that, if you think about the Holocaust, the worst place where a whole human, a country that was the peak of culture and Renaissance and in many ways of music and everything, became a nation trying to eradicate other nations. And the people who saved lives are usually people that weren't just good people. The people they saved, they were in other communities. It was like fellow people from their professional communities. Like if it was somebody from an orchestra, it was somebody he knew in the orchestra. And if it was somebody from its village, it's because he had relations from village. So even though the Nazis tried to do it's us and them, there's Jews and Aryans, suddenly when you have a lot of communities, you can't do that anymore. I'm not only a Jew, I'm also a community professional. I'm also a consultant. I'm also, somebody who surfs. I'm also, a skydiver. I do so many things that define me. And when we teach how to build a community, the first thing you want to build is PLM. The sense of camaraderie that like-minded people, PLM is people like me. You want people to think to the other ones that are people like me.
So that's really fascinating, because what you're saying is that to build a good online community, you have to create, if not an avatar, then maybe an avatar, but some
persona
of personality or persona, which links to your audience in the physical world, in the immediate, almost in the geophysical world. Then I think that's really fascinating.
And that's it, and that's our challenge, And by the way, this platform is so cool, and the challenge mentality we're going with, that's it. We're used to events are online. That's it. You don't have physical events anymore. You can't travel almost anymore to conferences. We had somebody from Germany in the morning, Tanya Lau, and she's like, "Hi, it's great to be in Tel Aviv." And I'm like, "No, you're in Cologne, in Germany right now, but you feel like you're in Tel Aviv because I'm hosting and our platform, and I'm sitting in Tel Aviv." And people suddenly feel, and that's the thing, suddenly online, because that's the only thing we have. We right now, not only, but main thing we have, we move our experiences online. Yeah, it's not the same, but still we have such evolutionary needs that they're really embedded in us. We need to find different ways to satisfy them and answer them. Just to tap, we have Jeremy. I can put you again online later, but I want to give a few rounds for everybody else. I would really love if you stay on the feed and give other questions and ideas. And if there's other topics you want to do in the Supertools session roundtable, I'll be happy to put you back on. Okay?
Thank you very much, Mike.
Thanks, Michael. And Jeremy, you're on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, yes, I can.
You can't see me, no?
No, we can't see you.
I'm terribly sorry. I don't know. It's my first time on AirMeet, so
You just have underneath where more or less I'm here. Wait, yeah.
yeah.
You should have a camera mark.
Here we go. Here I am.
Here you are.
I'm in the UK, by the way, Mike.
Yeah, I saw the UK, London.
Yeah, lovely to meet you. Lovely to. You're in Israel, yeah?
Yeah, we're in Tel Aviv.
Fabulous. Love that.
Do you ever visit?
Unfortunately, not yet, but I hope to, most certainly.
So how are things in the UK as we speak in London?
At the moment, we're on lockdown until the beginning of December. So it's like full lockdown, but it's not the same as the one earlier in the year because people have, are more accustomed to, what's been going on and everything, thankfully. But yeah.
So tell us a bit about yourself. What do you do in your day-to-day?
Sure. Well, my background originally was technical recruitment. So I did that for like 20 years. And then I started searching ways to actually answer the disconnection in a particular industry niche. And I started researching online job boards. And then it went to career centers. And then I came across online community platforms, which absolutely fascinated me. So I've been researching them for about the last 4+ years. And I've actually been putting together my own sort of online wiki stroke directory of online community platform tools, add-on tech, as well as a load of other information for frameworks and all sorts of information.
Jeremy, do share the links here in the feed.
Sorry?
So do share your links of that wiki, or is it still in construction? It's still under construction?
It's not public yet. It's in Notion, in my Notion at this point in time.
And Notion. By the way, we talked about Supertools. Notion is one of the upcoming Supertools of the world for sure, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, I did a promotion for Notion a number of years ago in a number of Facebook groups that I was involved in then. And most recently, NimbusWeb.me, which is another fabulous tool.
I've never heard about Nimbus. What's Nimbus?
It's basically a direct competitor to Evernote, and it has a Notion-like editor where you can drag and drop things and very similar stuff. So I've been working, in fact, with the founder in the last year for that as well.
When you say working with the founder, you recruit for them. What's your day job? How do you?
Well, over the last number of years, I've been doing a little bit of freelance recruitment here and there. And then in the last year or so, I've been working with a number of SaaS founders who have been launching new products. So doing promotions for them and helping them build their first online communities as well. Yeah.
Amazing. So you're a professional community builder, and you build it as part of their marketing strategy, part of the sales and marketing strategy.
Yeah, basically. Amazing. Yeah.
And you do it as a freelance? Do you have your own brand or something that people should know?
It's freelance. I mean, I've been doing everything on my own. I'd love to actually connect with others, and actually, what I want to do is take the research that's in Notion and put that in a public space so that it's accessible for people that are looking to start their first communities or transition over from, one old school tool perhaps to a newer, tool. So I'd love to connect with others. It was actually Gali from Commonetize that actually introduced me here. So Gali's been doing a fabulous job. I think she's Tel Aviv as well, isn't she?
She's based in Tel Aviv as well. Yeah,
yes.
Gali. That's why she's on the pages. I really want to promote her work. I think what she's doing is super important. By the way, tools. Jeremy, wow, you're fruitful. You gave us so many tools. So Notion that everybody needs to know, which is like an ultimate white page that you can put whatever you want on and create like your own database, website, Excel, spreadsheet, time management tool.
Bookmarks even, yeah. And
So
there's been
really
some clever guys that have put together so you can now use your own domain name on Notion, for example. So then you can then have that hosted. Nimbusweb.me, you can do that same. They've already got the white label. You can use your own domain name on that. So yeah.
That's pretty awesome. So by the way, I don't know if you heard me before talking about Community Pros. We were expecting to launch, but we had so much work on this event. It's my third global summit that we're producing and doing on our own funds, and it was such an amazing experience.
Wow.
But we're launching. We already started. We had a whole work for the last almost 6 months about the brand called Community Pros, which is all about, I think we're all in the same mindset about community pros working together and proactively doing changes. And we're going to have also a link of Community Pros on LinkedIn, which is going to be specifically how to build communities on LinkedIn, because we think LinkedIn is the next big thing on social media networks. And they're doing a whole thing of change. We're supposed to have, by the way, the #2 in the global LinkedIn in Tomer Cohen, which is the head of product. But he couldn't make it in the end. We're going to have him in our next session. We'll have a private session with Tomer to talk about what's happening behind the scenes of LinkedIn, which is super fascinating. And when we talk about Community Pros, we're going to have also a group on Facebook, but we're going to have a whole meetups and stuff, and we're looking for people just like you, Jeremy. So I'm really glad we connected. I would love if we're not connected already on LinkedIn, if you just ping me there.
Yes, please. I'd love that, Mike. Yeah, love to. Yeah.
So thank you for adding so many great tools. So Notion,
Nimbusweb.me.
Nimbus.me, cool. If you can add them here, also.
Yeah, there's actually, you can actually get it on a lifetime deal on AppSumo at the moment as well.
Listen, I say this summit, is for networking. If you want to promote, if you have a promotional link here, it's really okay. You can add it here in the feed.
Really?
And add here nimbusweb.me, cool. Notion already, also Monica concurs that it's a great tool. Use Tribe. I don't use Tribe. Monica, you can raise your hand and we can hear a bit of your Supertools. Jeremy, thank you so much for your time. It was really good.
Thank you, Mike.
On stage. Great. We're gonna change someone. Sorry, guys. I've been under the weather for a few days. I'm going to take off so I can blow my nose just a second. I'm a bit shy this way. And we're back. And Monica, let's add you. Hey, Monica. Video yet?
Here I am. Yeah, nothing changed this morning besides my coffee. So, how are you?
I'm great. Work. Summit. 13 days in a row, 3 days in a row. Great time. And by the way, my company is we're working on a tender of $1 million of a global network of communities, which is crazy. And I'm trying between sessions to help fill the other parts and review the work that Meravi Shalom, my COO, is filling up the tender.
Cool.
Really cool. Yeah. So a lot of things are happening. What's your Supertools?
Well, I must say that Notion is one of my biggest super tools because, I've been working with it for, I don't know, almost a year or so. We had some issues on the way, like every relationship, but at the end of the day, it's working. But as for a community nice tool, I've built up a huge agronomists community on Tribe. I mean, COVID-19, in the beginning of COVID, when everybody found themselves at home, and the agronomists, which needs to be on the field, found themselves at home without any kind of connection or any way of connecting one or the other. So we just got the opportunity to build up, a community in 2 weeks. We set up the tool, and we're looking for something easy to set up, and we just jump on Tribe. And in 2 weeks, we had almost 2,000 agronomists on the platform chatting with each other, working with each other. It was like, whoa, how did we think about it? I mean, we did think about it earlier, but I mean, COVID-19 made the connection between them and raised up the need to for a community for the agronomists, which it was not there before. So, you know, talking about opportunities, when you see one, take it.
I totally agree. So, by the way, Michael Jaffa had also a great question about cross-platform tools. So, did you hear, Michael, in the previous session when I talked about Commissar? Did you guys hear about Commissar?
Yeah, I was just looking up to it. It looks quite interesting.
It is. So Mac is going to give a keynote tomorrow, but he's not going to talk in depth about it. Maybe Jonah will talk a bit about it.
Okay.
No, Commissar, not everything is Israeli in the world.
It is. You're everywhere.
Okay. So yeah, but actually he has a few Israeli or Jewish employees. Suddenly I see Sagi Kadosh on a talk when I connected initially to Commissar before I got to the CEO, and then is a Sagi Kadosh that's a Jewish Israeli.
That's interesting, yeah.
And
American person.
And they're in Connecticut. The guys from Commissar, and Connecticut has a nice Jewish community, so it's probably just a fluke. But the founder isn't Jewish, and none of the investors that I know are Jewish. It's amazing, you know, it's always a joke in India that people think that you know, Israel is like this country with like 100 or 200 million people.
Yeah.
It's such a small nation.
We're everywhere. I mean, just walk around the world. Well, before COVID, walk around the world, everywhere we can see or find someone speaking Hebrew. So easy.
Monica, can you tell the audience a bit about yourself? What do you do in your day-to-day job?
What do I do? I'm an entrepreneur. I'm phasing out for a startup I built up within a huge corporate in ICL. The startup is on agrotech. We, you know, in 2.5 years, we ran from an idea to a platform with 3 products on it. And for the last few months, I'm focusing on my own startup on domestic violence prevention tool. Yeah, I'm, you know, in.
So the startup you work at now was acquired, or did you build it for the corporate?
I built it for the corporate, and we actually acquired the startup from US. Well, yeah, it's smart to build up a startup in a corporate. I mean, you don't need to, you know, run for money. You do have it. So it's easy on that part, but yeah, well, the rest is just the same. It's a very interesting process, though. I mean, every corporate that wants
to community, does it involve cultivating different people from the organization and having something? So tell us about cultivating a startup / a community startup, which is exactly what we're all about, a startup community in a corporate. That's something I really want to have maybe a few minutes about, because that's the theme.
We can definitely talk. Yeah, we can definitely talk about it. I mean, it's really interesting to see how the corporate is evolving once you have a, you know, and we're small. I mean, we started from, well, it was just me in the beginning. We grew up to 30 people, but it was so interesting to look at the things that happen around the startup in the corporate, and how people came up to learn from us and to understand how the things are working and how can we do things in such a quick way and not the old corporate way. So it's amazing to see how the community were built up around the startup. And I think that these days, every corporate that wants to, you know, to stay alive needs to build up a startup, or at least kind of a community, an innovation community maybe within the corporate, in order to keep it alive.
Yeah. So that's I think it's so amazing that that's happening, and also corporates understand how much they're important, because if they want to continue cultivating startups, they have to do that. Do you want to tell the name of the corporate, or it's
ICL. No, it's not a secret. ICL. ICL.
ICL. So you live in down south, or?
No, in the middle. Well, we're in Tel Aviv, so I mean, yeah, they have offices in Beersheba, but we sit in Tel Aviv.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
What else? So Jeremy saying Commerce is not an Israeli company. It's two young guys in the US.
Yeah, he didn't see it.
Not Israeli, no investors and stuff. There's one employee there I know that's Jewish. I don't even sure if he's Israeli, even though his name is very Israeli. Sagi Cohen, Sagi Kadosh. But that's it, totally. Not like an Israeli company. We can't make any claim to fame there. And that's it. So guys, listen, it's a really fun session. We have 20 attendees. Let's see who else is here and cool. People I don't know. So I see from Nicosia, Cyprus, we have Argiario. I'm really bad with pronunciation. Maybe if you want to raise your hand and tell me how to pronounce it. We have a very cool guy that I see joining and even connect with me on LinkedIn recently. Gabriel from Munich in Germany. You look interesting. So if you want to join a Supertool. This is Yossi Dan, who I know, the GM of Innovation Labs Challenge. Also, if you want to share your Supertool. Who else interesting that we didn't have on stage today? We have Veronica Jlen from Slovenia. Wow, international, cool. I'm waiting for somebody to raise their hand. We have Elisheva Dgani from Carnation One. Michael, we were here. Iris Schechter, Farsol. Here, we have a winner. No, we just have somebody in the field. I'm not interesting, but thank you. Thank you, Elisheva. That's modest. Don't worry. But Chevy, maybe you just do you use any specific tool on social media, in cultivating groups? Do you have a community? If you could just answer even in the feed, that's interesting for us. Don't worry, guys, this is what's supposed to be for you. So I gave you what I wanted. I don't have a specific tool for a community. This is why I'm here, but I use. So I don't know if you saw, you'll see I shared a link in the beginning, go up all the way. And it's community.club/tools or /tools, and it's an amazing list of all the greatest tools that exist today for communities. And by the way, remember, even Hammer is a tool, and even though it's not for community professionals, it can help you build a house. I don't know what, but you know, it doesn't have to be a designated tool. We can use many tools that everybody use, and that can be very relevant.
I have a question for you.
Okay, yeah, sure.
If we're here, you know,
okay.
What kind of tool would you recommend to use if I want to build up let's say, a premium community for senior managers?
Okay, so with senior managers, I think it's not about the platform. I think that's and that's the main thing, and you know, that's the thing what makes an expert. An expert also know that, you know, when you put a lot of answers on the table, you know, even none of them is correct, and that's the thing. It doesn't really matter. You should, but the features, or not features, the story behind the platform should be important. Okay, so first of all, it needs to be something that's worthwhile. People know that, you know, maybe you paid for it, or it's exclusive, or it has all kinds of things that are different. With executives, it's more about, like, if you were in the session before, and I think you were, it's more about the cultivation of the community. It's 95% about the cultivation of the community for executives. It's about the content. It's about doing less. Less is more with executive communities, okay? Yeah. When you want to do executive community, you want to do much, much less. Martin, in the session before, we were talking about it. I think the great thing about a really good executive communities is if you make them give each other things or help each other. I'm leading a community like that called, I'm not leading it, Ilana Golan founded it, and she brought me in the early beginning. And the platform doesn't matter. So she created a course that for all the people that are joining the network, it's called the Leap Network. And then you have a course you can do in your own time. And it's like something that you get access only as part of the executives in the network. And that's how she called people, by the way. Every person joining the network is a Leap executive, okay? And so it's about the branding of it. And it's about, okay, I need to do things on my own time and do whatever I want. And I get value from Ilana directly, but I do it on my own time, whatever I want. But I also have a space and time in my day, in my week. It used to be weekly, now it's monthly, that you can interact, that you can come and join a session. And then people can join and talk together. So if I would think today, because today you can't do physical events anymore, I think it's mainly you need to use things that are face-to-face, if we're talking about, so it can be a platform like Zoom, or any platform like that, and that's part of cultivating a community. But that's why I really recommend, if you can find a platform. By the way, Facebook did it. Facebook now embedded rooms in it, and you can have a room which is pretty much like a Zoom, even just a letter difference.
Yeah.
So it can be on Facebook, and I think, by the way, most people that are executives, it means, even though it's not a must, are over 30, and people over 30 are mostly on Facebook.
Correct.
So I would go there, even though I know executives that are like, Mac is 27 and it's his second startup, the founder of Comma Store, and the CEO of Jolt is 28. But I knew him originally when he was the CEO of my then fiance's company, that he came as a CEO when he was 22. They kicked out the 46-year-old CEO and brought him as a paid CEO when he was 22.
That's amazing.
And by the way, he did amazingly. He in a year and a half turned the company from losing money to making money.
I know. I didn't know he was 22 when he brought him, but yeah, he's amazing. That's correct.
So he used to be 22. Now he's 28.
I know.
They're a whole crazy family. The funny story about Roy, that while I was, she started working for him and he became a CEO, I joined to be a spokesman in the Knesset, in the parliament in Israel, and he was the head of new media at Yesh Atid, the party I was a spokesman at.
Okay.
So he was my boss and her boss. We were both 30, and he was both our bosses into wine. And his older sister, which is now the CEO of Lobby 99, which is a kind of crowdsourcing lobby, trying to bring the 99% to influence the parliament, met me in parliament and said, I like you. And she started mentoring me without knowing my connection to her in any way. And she's like one of the most brilliant minds I know. And so I had the pleasure of working with her because she was for 2 years a PA, also a parliamentary assistant and spokesman. Cool. And that's my funny stories. And so again, to go back to your questions, because I sidetracked like stars.
That's the nice part. Now it was about how to what would be the best platform to build up exactly.
It's not about the platform. By the way, at Leap.
Not about the platform. That's correct. I agree.
But just to give you what we are using. So at Leap, we have an online course platform that Ilana created, course that when you join the network, it's not just paying for the network, you pay for the course, and then you feel. By the way, in our courses, we teach about the utility model, about communities. People, we analyze join because of a clear utility. They have to pay or join for a utility they know they're getting, but they stay for their emotional and network connections. Okay, the emotional network. I'm not talking about the networking effects, because paying for connections is something that people feel like, I don't need to pay for networking. Okay, but sometimes when it's a free community, networking can be something that can be the rational utility, as we call it. And so we have the course, we have a closed secret Facebook group, we have a large open Facebook group to create some kind of, as I explained before, showcase of the community. So we have a public group that's not Leap, but it's a showcase and people can do their everything. And the closed group, secret group only for them. And we use Zoom for the weekly and daily and meetings and stuff like that. And also a chat bot to keep people connected, to be part of the communication between the main group and bring people through the funnel. And we also have a webinar platform to do webinars for members of the event. And sometimes for people bring friends, say, okay, you're not part of Leap, but you can join a webinar, and then through the funnel there.
And then they can come in. Okay. But by the way, how do you feel about the the new way of networking these days with COVID-19? I mean, it's not the same like we did a year ago. We need to, to adapt ourselves to the new way of connecting with each other and networking with each other.
I'm in love with it. Interesting. I just had a baby a year and a half ago, and thanks to that, I saw him growing. I know that if we weren't in COVID, I would probably come like I'm used to, because I have a baby, I would probably come 2-3 times a week and shower him, and but like now, especially because COVID, like I was there every second of the beginning, and for me, it's like it was a huge thing. So I have like posted, I write Corona my love, because for me, and also time-wise, I'm a productivity freak, and I hate being late.
Oh gosh.
and going to places, and then people canceling on you, even if they don't cancel. If everything works to plan, you need to get there. And there was so much a waste of time and money and energy traveling and commuting, and also just emotionally, it's draining. But I have to say that I miss traveling, because I miss listening to podcasts, and I don't find any more time for that. And I feel people are too busy right now. But I think we should it's a pendulum. I think, we found a way to be much more productive, and for that I'm really happy. But we'll need to find ways to just take the time that we used to be in commuting and having ourselves zone out. We should just have those fixed things. By the way, we have today, in 15 minutes, a mindfulness session. So if you want to join in 15 minutes, go to the sessions. We have a mindfulness session. I can't afford to go there, but you guys go and enjoy it. We arranged it through. We brought a special professional in mindfulness to help you do some mindfulness.
Cool.
So that's it for tonight. It was a great fun session about Supertools. Thank you, Monica, and we'll be in touch.
Yep, we will. Ciao.
Bye.